Hey all, happy August 9th, 2024. This is Kathryn Dahl, the Audacity Factor. Welcome to my 90 for 90. I've spent most of the day painting. I use palette knives, brushes, a variety of different panels. And, I really like to experiment. And my painting process tends to be in service to what I am inspired to create and how I'm inspired to create it at that time. So I don't ever really have a preconceived idea. In the past, of course, I'm classically trained and I was taught to pre-draw everything and prepare a variety of options. And as the years went by, I really stepped outside of that box and did things my way. It's kind of one of those things. Once you know all the rules and once you learn all the rules, you can flex those rules or even start making up your own. And I definitely do that in not just my paintings, but in a lot of areas of my life as well, when I discover what works and what doesn't work. And so much of that is around what's in service to what's truly aligned for me, but then ends up being in service to others as well. And so much of that, well, I have to say, it's not for me about receiving something in return for someone else. It's not transactional. Although you purchasing one of my paintings would be a transactional process. However, it's not having an expectation or an obligation of something further. Like, because you purchased one of my paintings, I'm expected to develop a personal relationship with you because of that. So that's kind of that expectation of, because you feel you did this for me, that in spite of the fact that I painted this painting and provided it for your enjoyment, you're expecting something further from me, from your own agenda, whatever your agenda is. And I was really thinking about this earlier as my husband's home for the day, which is fantastic. I love this extra time I get to spend with him and that he and I get to spend together, because it's really something that we do collaboratively and truly in service to our relationship. We don't have a scorecard or scoreboard, or I did this for you, that means you're obligated to do something else for me. I've lived that type of relationship, and I know for me it doesn't work at all. And I think for many people it doesn't work because that sense of obligation never rings true, that you're actually loved and cared about for who you are, but it's for what you can provide for that other person. I know I was in a long relationship that was that way. Everything was transactional and it was exhausting. And really the truth was too that I could never do enough. It would never be enough. It always needed to be more, always more. And it really, for me, was just thoroughly exhausting. Now, that kind of thing might work for some people. It may. It doesn't feel good for me. And I know for my husband, the same thing, that it wasn't a place of a feel good. This is a new marriage for me. So we've been married not quite a year yet. And both of us, from years of previous trauma, have discovered what it is to actually create and embody a thriving relationship, and to breathe life into that, as opposed to having this preconceived agenda, having some kind of a list that the other person has to abide by. And that scenario where somebody doesn't even show you the list, so you don't even get to agree to the list. You're just expected to know that this behavior is on the list. My daughter's last relationship, this was the young man that she was dating, had this: you should just be able to read the other person's mind. Well, that's just really not even a reality. I think after years and years together, or when you're out actually observing the other person for information, not for criticism, not for your agenda, but to actually learn about them, you can learn things about them. You can learn what things they like, what things they don't like, what things they appreciate, what things they don't appreciate. And you can actually discover more and more if you're in kind of a discovery process. And all of that is truly in service to a relationship that you want to thrive. Do you want your relationship to thrive? Do you? Do you want it to feel good? Or do you feel like you need to have control over it in order for that to happen? Well, I guarantee that control and manipulation and punishment, scorekeeping, agendas, those are not the ways to breathe life into this thing that you're creating together, which is your relationship. Yes, you're here and the other person is over here, and what you're creating is in between that. And there's kind of a conduit to that where you both get to pour your love, your compassion, whatever it is you're pouring into this thing that you're creating, this relationship that you're creating. So are you going to pour into it fear, anxiety, control, manipulation? Is that what you are going to feed it? Because that definitely isn't something that creates a thriving relationship. It creates somewhat a rigid structure that really doesn't allow for growth, doesn't allow for flexibility, doesn't allow for experimentation, even if you've got these hard guidelines that you're supposed to follow. And a lot of that just is about having a conversation, having a conversation in regard to what you would like your relationship to be, how you would like it to feel. Expectations can be real tripping hazard, let's call it, in a relationship. And I learned that many, many years ago. There's a book called Mindful Loving. It has a faith aspect to it, and you can certainly put that aside for that book is something that I did at the time. This was many years ago, but it spoke into this concept of expectations. If you could drop your expectations, because really what expectations do is they set you up for disappointment, and the other person sets the other person up for failure. Unless you're able to vocalize what it is that you want and what you need, as opposed to couching it as an expectation that you don't even share, that this other person is just expected to know or abide by. Well, there's no way that they can know, and then you're disappointed because you had this expectation. So my husband and I do not do that at all. We talk openly. We're able to have uncomfortable conversations because we both have many, many, many years of history without the other person, aside from the other person. And, it's really important for us to come at this very intentionally, very openly. Safety is the key. Also, one of the is that if you want a safe environment for yourself, you also need to be able to provide that safe environment, not just for the other person, but for your relationship itself as well. So this is all what I'm talking about, being in service to. You're in service to your relationship. Are you able to do that without an agenda? Are you able to do that and have open conversations? They might be uncomfortable, but I promise you, once you're able to have these conversations and learn what providing a safe, truly safe environment for the other person and for yourself and for your relationship, it is a total game changer. Total game changer for your relationship. And I'll tell you what, provides so many opportunities for my husband and I to also have fun. I have had more fun in the past, not quite 2 years that I've been with my husband than I've had my entire life, because we know what it's like to not have that. We know what it's like to have the control issues. We know what it's like to be codependent. We know what it's like to be enablers. So for us, the benefit of having this safe and open, compassionate environment for our relationship allows all the love, all of it. There's nothing blocking it, because the only thing that blocks love from you is what you put in the way of it. So he and I have made a point of not putting anything in the way because love is always there. It's what you put in the way of it that creates the issues. And a lot of that is about agendas, scorekeeping, transactional behaviors, feeling that the other person is obligated to you or you're obligated to the other person to provide these certain things. Well, again, I encourage you, have the conversation. It's better to know than to not know because the not knowing drives fear, drives anxiety, drives all of the assumptions and all the things that go through your imagination that might be happening or might not be happening or what it might mean or what it doesn't mean. So I really encourage you to, if right now there's one uncomfortable conversation you are really wanting to have, I encourage you to have it. And I promise you it will be worth it. Now, you may find out something that might be even more uncomfortable, but wouldn't you rather know than not? I definitely don't believe that what you don't know can't hurt you. Because I think deep down, we all actually really know. We know truth when we hear it. We know truth when we see it. We know dishonesty when we see it. We know dishonesty when we hear it. So don't kid yourself. But really decide for yourself, what is it that you actually want in this life? This can include the relationship with yourself as well, because it's got to always start with you. How are you in service to yourself? So ask yourself these questions. I encourage you to do that. All right, I'm going to go on painting for the rest of the day, and I will see you all tomorrow here on the Audacity Factor. Click the like button, click the subscribe as well, and also the notification bell so you can be notified anytime I post, which again, this is my 90 for 90, so it will be each and every day. The timing is different, so if you would like a surprise, make sure and click that bell. You can also follow me on Patreon. I have a free membership there. Please, I encourage you to come and check it out. There's a link in the About section. All right, I'll see you all tomorrow.